to get to know or learn about leadership, I enrolled in 2 or 3 there were none. So there were very, very few women leadership programs in our area. So in Pakistan, India, Sri Lanka, you just don't find robust women leadership programs. So I ended up getting into one in the US. I learned all of these things, and then I realized after trying to put those things in place whenever I returned back home that those imported kind of things weren't really working, right? So those imported sort of leadership pearls that I'd learned there, that if you think you need a raise, then create a pitch, a 1-minute pitch, and go to your boss and ask them, hey dude, I'm not getting paid this much, this is not right, this is the amount of work I do. Of course, backfired. And so lots of things where they kind of make you feel like women don't ask for more, or women should assert themselves, or women should go tell their husbands or their families that I need this much amount of time to do this. Culturally, it just wasn't fitting in. And what works? So again, as I reflected and thought that what has worked for me in terms of having the courage to take some brave decisions. I just left academic medicine after doing it for 15 years of my life to get into entrepreneurship and start my own sort of mental health institute. Has truly been 2 things. One is authenticity, which I think is my biggest insight of all. Being authentic, understanding who I am, what I bring to the table, what are my strengths, what are my Achilles heels, what are things that I don't do well no matter how much I try. So I'm never going to be able to go up and challenge someone and say, pay me more money, right? And I'm never going to get into a competitive setting and say, I'm going to do better than you. I have to collaborate. I can't do this competition thing. So understanding what I can't do well, understanding what I can do well, kind of picking up that this is, my sort of leadership strength comes from creating networks. My leadership skill comes from taking interest in anybody and everybody who's sitting next to me and just listening to their story genuinely, sincerely, because I'm interested in you. And then suddenly 3 years later, that person's being able to help me because it connected, or I formed that connection. And being true to that, I think that authentic self and knowing, I think that piece. And then the other piece of that is competence, and comes from this place of that, what is it that I do well? What is it? What is my art? What is my skill? So for example, for me, it's mental health. I do mental health well. I do child mental health well. And every time that, and it's part of my authentic self. And every time that I've had a stumbling block in this pathway of leadership, the one thing that has saved me has been my skill and my art in this space of, mental health. So that piece, which I think is so important for women as well, that sometimes when we get into this leadership thing, we feel that, we've got to learn all of these new skills to navigate this pathway of leadership. But what is it that I do well? And what is my art? What is my skill? What is my, do I do anthropology well? Do I do urban planning well, Katya, like you were talking about? And making sure that, we continue to be respected in that space.